Welcome back. So last lesson we actually went in and we built our first web API, and we even got a controller in there that we could try and play around with just to see if there was actually access to the web API. We removed some security so we could join it, and then we kind of jumped into and looked at Swagger, and let's just talk about that one, because what is Swagger actually? Well, Swagger is a documentation system. So it's a way for us to auto-generate documentation for our web API. So we can see what we can call and what we can't call. That's one cool thing. Another cool thing with Swagger is that out of the box right here, they actually do it so that we can go in and execute commands against our API, so we can try it out. And it's a really nice tool for us as backend developers to test that when you call a certain thing, it'll return what you expect to the front end. So it's kind of a middle layer for us, so we can try and test what the front end will achieve whenever they call our API. So that's what we're going to use Swagger for. Now, if you want to dive more into Swagger, you can go and check out their setup right here and their feature sets. And there's also, of course, resources, so you can go and check out their documents if you want to. And Swagger can do a lot more than what you see right here out of the box. But for now, let's just keep the basic Swagger setup. And again, the way that you kind of decide you want to use Swagger is inside your startup file right here under services at Swagger Gen. And here it actually generates that Swagger setup for you. And out of the box, it automatically sets up everything behind the scenes. So you have a route. You just need to kind of add the small endpoint down here as well in order to explain to the system that you want to use the Swagger UI. And notice that's only possible in development right now, meaning if I put this on production, this page wouldn't be available, because in production, I wouldn't want to share with the world all my secrets inside this Swagger documentation file right here. So that's what Swagger is all about. And Swagger is a great tool for us. And you'll notice that when we start building more and more code, you'll see how easy it is for us to set up Swagger. Let me just try and just add one more right here. You don't have to understand it yet, but I'll just add a post request right here. Let's try and restart the server. I'm not trying to talk about the code right now. I just want to show you how easy it is to use Swagger, because it's automatically being documented what I just changed. So let's just refresh the page, and boom, here's the post request I just built. It also explains the schema for what I could pass into that post request. And again, we'll dive into more about all of this, but Swagger will be my go-to tool to explain to you what's going to happen with the REST API. So before we end it, let's just have a quick look at where Swagger belongs in, like if we had an overview about the entire application. Here's our backend where we build our REST API, the one we just built last lesson. And here's Swagger all the way out here, and that's the one that's going to try and send some requests to the API and get some response back. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next lesson. But think of Swagger as a way for you to do testing. You could also use Postman, you could use Restify, and Swagger is also a way for us to do documentation of our web API. So it's a great tool for us in order to kind of see if the backend works as we expect when somebody who's building the front end, that could be an Angular guy, a React guy, a xUnit guy, a mobile guy somewhere, he says, there's something wrong with your API. You can say, well, look at this. I can prove to you that when I call the request, I get the certain data back that I expect. So maybe it's your application. Let's try and have a look which is actually causing the problem right now. So that's where Swagger belongs in the entire setup. Notice it's not anywhere in the backend tier. It's actually outside the backend tier where Swagger makes these calls right here. But let's have a look at that next lesson. What are these calls, the request and the response of HTTP? That's the goal for the next session. So that's it for this lesson. See you next time. Have fun.